And of course, this will go on my YouTube afterwards, so I'll send this interview to you once it's on my YouTube.
Okay.
Diafic, what's up, baby? How are you? Diafic, this is a special day. I have 2 interviews today. We'll get into that in a second, but I have 2 interviews today, so it's going to be a super special day. We have Rocky after this interview, and it's going to be amazing. Phantom, what's good? What's good? I'm doing good, sweetie. I'm doing good. Chaz, what's up? I have 2 interviews tonight, Chaz. Phantom, thank you so much for that host. You're amazing. And like, Rocky's wearing a suit. Mr. B, thank you for that host. You're amazing. Aw, Chaz, that's amazing.
Baby, I'm ballin', 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 ballin'. Baby, I'm ballin', 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 ballin'. Baby, I'm ballin'. Baby, I'm ballin'. Baby, I'm ballin'. Baby, I'm ballin', 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 ballin'. Baby, I'm ballin', 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 ballin'.
Oh my God!
Baby, I'm ballin'. Baby, I'm ballin'. Baby, I'm ballin'. Baby, I'm ballin'. Baby, I'm ballin'.
What's up, everybody? Hope you guys are having a fan-freaking-tastic night tonight. I know I am. We have 2 very, very special interviews tonight. The first interview that we have is with Fred from QuadStick. And the second interview that we have at our regular scheduled time is RockyNoHands. Hopefully you guys are all going to be here for both of them. They're going to be amazing. I am so honored to have this opportunity to do this. This, of course, is Fred with QuadStick. Fred, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, pretty good.
Pretty good. So why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself, man? Where are you from?
Well, my dad was in the Air Force, so we lived all over the country. But I ended up in Montana and was working for Cisco Systems. And about the time that I was getting ready to retire, I came across a newspaper article about a guy named Ken Genki Levitz, who'd been making a device called the Quad Control. And that's how I got into this whole thing about making a game controller for quadriplegics.
So the controller that you make or made, the QuadStick, which if you guys hit !victim in the chat, you guys will get the link. And of course, I'm going to share some of the stuff that's on his website here in a few minutes. Johnny Ragu, Agus Fang, Nutter Butter, Venomous Plays, TWH Neo, TL Ranger, AJ Games, 8-Bit, Mr. Hambone, JPK Stay. Thank you guys for those hosts. You guys are amazing. Solus, of course, and Volix. Thank you so much for those hosts. You guys are amazing. So, what was the inspiration behind wanting to help persons with disabilities?
My mom had ALS about 10 years ago. And so during that, during her time, we were looking for a computer equipment that would help her make life easier for her. So we had a computer that would generate speech and various tools to help her use the computer more easily. And so that's where I sort of first learned about assistive technology and just searching around for solutions for her. And it was just by chance that one day I came across a newspaper article, and I never read the newspaper itself. I always read it online, but I was at a friend's house and picked up their paper, and there was an article about this guy who'd been making the Quad Control. And I was blown away. It was like I knew instantly that I wanted to get involved with that and work on that. And I mean, it was just if I was ever to be, say something was a calling, that was it. And so I immediately called the guy and met him a few days later, because he was close enough that I could drive to visit him. And that's how it got started. It was, he'd been doing it since like the 80s. And he'd been making his quad controls for, years and years. And, he helped me a lot getting started, gave me a lot of ideas. We spent a lot of time together over, the different issues involved with making something like this. And so that's really the origin of it.
That's incredible. I mean, I think what you do is it's such a beautiful thing. Such a beautiful thing to be able to help people better their quality of life by giving them something that they thought that was taken from them.
Yeah.
What all kind of processes did it take for you during the development of the QuadStick?
Well, I've been doing electronic controls, digital control systems for a long time. And so I had all the various elements that go into the QuadStick, the sensing pressures, and just a lot of that aspect of it I had a lot of experience with. I didn't have a lot of experience with the USB communication, but I had worked on a number of other communication protocols over the years, and so it was not that far off from what I'd been doing. And I kind of realized that when I was reading about the quad control, that I had all the various sort of I knew I had the knowledge I needed to do most of it, and so it was a matter of really getting the USB part figured out, and then also Ken was giving me a lot of advice on just basically what can work, what can a quadriplegic do that we can use as an input that we can then inside the quad stick, then make that do something out to the, like it's a USB controller being with a button being pushed. And so that was really, the background of it. I did, I had to learn a lot of terms like the different chips, like it has a 32-bit microprocessor in it that's, has built-in USB bus and all the I/O sensors and stuff are built into the chip, but it ends up being a fairly complicated ARM chip. So that was working with that. But I'd worked with like really similar chip when I was working at Cisco, so I was familiar enough with it that it's just a matter of making sure I did everything properly. Had to design the circuit board. So there's all the hardware design, all the software design I came up with.
That's amazing. And I have to say, for all of you guys that don't know, what's up, Rocky in the house? I have to say the email that I had sent to you, for all of you guys that don't know, what's up, Hambone? I had sent him an email a couple of days ago, and it was like, what's your title with QuadStick? And he's like, CEO janitor. It's a one-man operation. Like, I kind of laughed because you're like bottle washer, floor scrubber, paper pusher. Yeah. Like, I was cracking up. And I think that it's amazing that one person was able to develop such an amazing piece of technology. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about here. This is, well, hold on, let's go up a little bit. This is the quad stick that Rocky uses. And for those of you guys that do not know, RockyNoHands, his interview will be directly after this one. We're going to take like a 30-minute break in between so I have time to get set up with Rocky and everything. He's wearing a suit. If you guys aren't here, then you know what Rocky's going to say about it. But anyways, this is what the quad stick looks like. And it looks like there was a lot of really in-depth like thought that went into this, like all the different like pieces and parts that came off of it. And you have the joysticks are in different places on different controllers. Is there a reason why for that?
Well, so I had my idea of how it would work, and then I was approached by one of Ken's customers whose quad control had broken. At that point, Ken was no longer repairing them, and so he asked me if he could use one of my, like if he could test the quad stick, and he said he wanted to be my guinea pig, and his name was Matt Victor, and so I started working with him, and he's a C1 quadriplegic, and so he has no movement below the neck, and so he really helped me a lot in figuring out how to change the design to where someone with very limited movement could operate the quad stick. And we went through dozens and dozens of mouthpiece designs, trying to come up with what would work, what it could be made out of. In the beginning, I was trying to make them out of various molding things with resins and stuff, and ended up finally with a 3D printer, and which has worked out pretty well. So a lot of the just advice on how to what is possible for him to do, and then take that and translate that into a game controller. So there was we probably spent a year just doing that kind of testing and going back and forth, trying to get it ready to the point that we could launch the Kickstarter.
That's amazing. I mean, do you mind if I ask you how much money have you did it take for you to go through to get to the final product?
I don't want to know.
That must be a scary figure then.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. Basically, it's my savings went into it. Um, so yeah, it's yeah, because I had retired from Cisco, and so I basically was living off of that, um, and so I didn't I did some I still do some occasional consulting for some other companies uh, to supplement that, but it was yeah.
It's I think like I said, I can't even tell you enough how amazing I think what you have done is. Mikey, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to my half the safe zone. Make sure that you follow my amazing stream partner Ghost GT27. He is the other half the safe zone. Without him, this would not be possible. So let's go ahead and watch the video that you have on your QuadStick site, so that you guys in chat can see how amazing this is. If you guys have not watched Rocky No Hands, don't get me wrong, you're gonna see him play. But this is the video that he has posted for this, which I think this is just amazing, Fred.
I really enjoyed putting this video. There's another video I did too that was originally made just to explain to my family what I was doing.
Right.
But this one was all clips from QuadStick users that were just blew me away how they were, the games they were playing and how they were, using the QuadStick. I was flabbergasted.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Like, now, why video games? Like, what made you think to do this for gamers? Are you a gamer yourself?
Well, no, I'm not. I've become more of a gamer since my dog's trying to get me. I've become a gamer since getting involved in this. But I wasn't really before. I kind of missed that whole time period, and I knew they were immensely popular. I knew they were incredibly complex, and I knew that when I read about Ken's quad control, and then I looked at what other things were out there on the market. Yeah, there are devices that work really well for quadriplegic for a mouse replacement, and there's some they're nice, they're expensive, but there's really nothing that would take all the inputs, because a basic game controller has like 17 buttons, and a mouse has 3, maybe 5, at the outside, and so this was there wasn't anything that would let you have that many combinations of things you could do that you could do quickly.
Right.
Timing is everything, and so they've got to be able to respond instantly to whatever's going on. So the anyway, that's the sort of the basis of it.
It's absolutely incredible. I mean, it's incredible that coming from someone that doesn't or that didn't play games, because I understand, like, I'm not putting you in the same age group as me, but I grew up outside, and it was go outside and play. You don't need to play a video game. You don't need to sit in front of any kind. And we didn't have computers when I was a kid. So like I kind of got thrown into video games when I was, after I'd graduated school. I never really was a big gamer until, I started on Twitch. And I think that for you being someone who hasn't come from video games to get into something as intricate as developing a controller that a quadriplegic individual can operate flawlessly. It's just amazing. Like, I watch Rocky play pretty much every day, and I mean, I am just amazed at the amount of technology that you've put into this controller. It's amazing. I can't even express how incredible it is.
Well, I did have to learn all that from scratch. I was already driving when Pong came out, so that gives you an idea of how old I am. But you're exactly right. I knew that games were important, and I knew that for a quadriplegic that it would just playing a video game would be a huge release. It lets them control a world and do it at a really high level.
Right.
And so, but I was really ignorant of the whole gaming scene. So encountering Matt Victor really helped me out a lot, because he knew all about games, and he'd been playing games with a quad control since he was 8 years old, and he's in his 30s, and so he knew all the issues. He knew all the issues about the games. He knew all the issues about playing with just using his mouth, and so that was where a lot of that came from, in terms of trying to get the design, a workable design.
Right.
And then over time, we've been making changes all along. So and then finally, there's another, like at the top of the page there, there's a new model that has a sort of a more rugged, more accurate joystick that is an improvement on the original design. And it's so I have different people that use the QuadStick come from different situations. So there's people with a spinal cord injury that will have essentially regular movement above the injury at some point, and so usually they have no problem moving their mouth and lips around.
Right.
Then other users may have disability, like muscular dystrophy or something like that,
right,
where they actually they'll still have the ability, say, to move. So we'll supplement the QuadStick itself with other inputs like push buttons or even combine it with a mouse or a trackball or something. And but their ability to move the QuadStick mouthpiece around may be less.
right.
And so I wanted to make it as flexible, give them access to all the various inputs, let them customize it to their own needs, and so in addition to just sort of the hardware and design, the shape of it and all that, it lets them tailor, like the sip and puff pressures, the amount of movement that the joystick needs to move, the combinations of holds they can do. That can all be tailored to the individual user's needs.
Again, it's just double tap. It's twit in here, sweetie. There you go. My partner and I both have commands for tweet. His is tweet and mine is twit. So, but I mean, I again, it's just incredible that you have come this far. And I know that the quad stick, it's very expensive. Do you take insurance or do you take payment plans or?
So, so I just basically sell through the website. The QuadStick is has been paid for by insurance companies, and like the Veterans Administration has bought several. The various Medicaid organizations around the country have bought them. So it is, there are funding sources. There are also people that do GoFundMes and have raised money for quad sticks. In fact, there's a one that just started up a day ago. So there's a charity in the U.S. called Able Gamers, and they were a big sponsor during the Kickstarter, and since that time they've placed a number of quad sticks with people, and so if somebody's looking for some help in getting one, that's definitely an organization to contact. And then in the UK, there's Special Effect. So there are organizations that specialize in helping people with disabilities play video games, and so they're obviously they're a good source of information, and can provide equipment.
Do you do a lot of work with like the VA? I know that there are quite a few organizations that help to provide gaming systems for soldiers that are deployed or that are enlisted or whatnot. Is that something that you do as well, is to work with people that are in recovery?
So the way it works with the VA is they'll get the QuadStick user will get a prescription from a rehabilitation or prosthetics doctor, and then that will start the process, and then eventually I'll get the VA contacts me. One of their buyers will contact me and put in the order. So they and that's it's sort of similar kind of process with the other organizations. There's usually some back and forth, because I'm such a small company. Of course, they don't know anything about me, and so I've got to usually go through some process of getting registered with them as a vendor, and to where they'll even entertain the idea of making a purchase.
Yeah, I was just curious because I know that in the Safe Zone community, we have quite a few individuals that are currently enlisted. We have quite a few of them that are veterans. We have quite a few of them that are planning to go into the service. So I'm like, and of course, the military is very near and dear to my heart as well. And actually, I do have something to ask you. One of our amazing sponsors, Punk's Paracord, just asked if she could add you to her partnered site just for advertisement onto her Paracord site. And she wanted to ask permission if that'd be okay to give you guys or give you more advertisement and.
Of course.
Of course. There you go. There you go, Punk. All yours, baby. All yours. So, looking forward, when you decide to retire, is there someone that's going to continue with your work?
I'm in the same boat that Ken was in, because the article that I read about Ken was his big problem was that he was in his mid-70s, and he was having age-related problems where it was difficult for him to continue making the quad control. And so that was the gist of the article, was that he was looking for someone to hand off the you know the whole thing too.
To pass the buck,
And
right?
pass the buck, right? And so that was also part of what kind of got me, was that you know if he stops making these, there really isn't anything comparable out there. And so I that's definitely in my mind, in the back of my mind, like how do I handle this? And of course, I think today the process would probably be like to just open it up, make it an open source project, open up the hardware design, and that would be one thing. Or I haven't really got it all worked out yet, but I do have, like, let's say in the Mac truck scenario, something were to happen to me, then with one flick of the switch, the whole design can be opened up.
That would be good.
So it's like it's a kind of an insurance thing. So but that's I'll definitely have to pass it on to somebody at some point. And of course, you never know how the technology of games is changing pretty rapidly too. So with the addition of VR and different techniques for like eye tracking, so we can work with an eye tracking system. And then there are brainwave devices now that could be used in a similar way the way we use speech commands. So there are new technologies coming online all the time that can be sort of brought in and added to this. And then there's a lot of really inexpensive microcontroller type products out there, sort of like the Raspberry Pi type of thing. So a future design could be based around something that's got a lot of other momentum around it, and could what's been learned in this one could be put into that.
Have you thought about, and this is just a thought, but have you thought about getting a hold of a company like Razer, for instance, and saying, hey, I'm going to retire in however many years you decide. I wanted to see if maybe you guys would want to work alongside with me and then maybe eventually buy me out. Have you thought about something like that? Because that's a company that does a lot of stuff for gaming and or any kind of company like that. Have you given that any thought?
Well, it is a niche market. So there's like my prior experience, say, with like Cisco, is that they're just not interested in something that's under like $1 billion. They just walk over. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
I was talking with my hands and bumped right into the mic. But there's the level of business it takes to interest a larger company is pretty substantial, and so it would have to be like something that probably somebody in the company had a personal reason for wanting to do it, because in terms of the business case for it, it's the market is pretty limited, and so it's, you've got to really want to do it for its own sake, and but I definitely wouldn't ever rule something like that out. It would I think it would just be a matter of finding the right fit for some for an organization that could devote that much time and resources to something that's it's not a mass market kind of thing.
Right. I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of companies out there that would just jump all over this. But Rush, you're absolutely right. He said the problem is they just don't care. However, if they looked at it on a broader spectrum, and maybe if you took it to them as, you could develop this to better the gaming community, and that's what Razer is all about. Like some of their controllers and stuff is just ridiculous. I personally don't use Razer. I use Logitech, but I mean, it was just like the first thought that, kind of popped in there. I mean, the fact that you've devoted how many years to doing this now?
Gosh, I started in 2011, and so it was like probably a couple of years before we launched the Kickstarter. To and the Kickstarter, the main reason for the Kickstarter was to kind of get get some publicity and get noticed, and it served that purpose.
Right. I mean, I just, there's more of a market out there than you think. If you were to reach out to like children's hospitals of like terminally ill, or if you were to reach out to, like I said, like the VA hospitals, or, places like that. Because like you said, gaming is such a release. Like personally, I've met so many people that have used sites like Twitch and gaming to get over phobias, to get past anxiety issues. And like you said, it's a way for them to kind of escape reality and be able to control stuff, or in Rocky's case, to lick your ass with his mouth. Like,
Exactly.
I mean, it's just it's incredible, and the market is so much bigger than a lot of people would think. I mean, what's up, Dragon? How are you? But there's so much more to it than just here's a controller so you could play video games. You're giving these people a way to overcome obstacles that they otherwise didn't have, like for real. For instance, like Rocky was in an accident, and I mean, look at him now. Like, I don't know one single person in the save zone that can beat Rocky in no honor. And he plays with your controller that he uses his mouth, and he doesn't just use his mouth though. He like uses his whole face, and like it's just the way that and in the video that we just watched, there are so many people that they use so much more motion than just their mouth, and like I think it's amazing.
I've watched him play, and it's he's all in. there's, there's just I can't even follow what he's doing. It's happening so fast. So one of the things that I've really gotten out of the QuadStick for me is that it's a fulfilling thing. I've always been interested in working with technical things and control systems and stuff, but the QuadStick is just a completely different kind of project, because it's I personally get a lot of satisfaction out of it, and that's there's a completely different kind of commitment to it than just doing something that's interesting. So when I see somebody like Rocky use it the way he does, and at the level at which he does it, I love that. I get a real kick out of it. And the comments that I get from people that have been using the QuadStick, it just really makes me happy to hear, to see that kind of success with it.
Hold on a second. All right, guys, I'm going to tell you guys this right now. Y'all can leave. We're in the middle of an interview, and you guys are being extremely freaking rude. Like, are you serious? Thank you for the raid. I appreciate that. It's very sweet of Everyone spam follow. Wow. Yeah, that I can't even thank all of you guys. Thank you guys all so much for the follows. This is Fred with the QuadStick controller. Dude, fucking seriously. Come on. Ghost. Oh my god, you guys are assholes. I'm so freaking sorry for the rudeness. I know they did. Ghost, I need you. Cox, where is Cox at? You can have it.
Safe zone.
All right, so I do have to say that everything that you have done to this point has been amazing. And you gave me the list of like 5 other streamers that you know.
Yeah, it's and those are just ones I know about. A lot of them, don't. I just it's sort of by accident that I come across some of them.
And yeah, and I mean, and I don't even know how we came across RockyNoHands. He is just incredible, absolutely incredible. And like I said, some of the other people that we've had has just been amazing too. Milbur, I can't stop the laughter. That's all follows from you guys. I appreciate it so much. I can't turn the sound off, Chaz. Sorry. This is actually going to be PSTD. Well, for PTSD, sorry. Anyways, so again, I want to say thank you for everything that you've done. What do you have in future development?
Well, so I recently came out with this FPS model with the new joystick part, and so that's I think in the future, what I'd like to do is the QuadStick has a Bluetooth module in it, so we can talk to the computer over the Bluetooth connection, either as a mouse or a channel for the voice commands. So I think what I'd like to do is add actually like a sort of an Internet of Things Wi-Fi type of module in there, and then eliminate the need for having a PC to maintain the QuadStick. Right now, a user has to have a computer of some kind to change the configuration of the QuadStick and adjust it to their individual needs. And so I think what I'd like to do is make it so the thing have a Wi-Fi chip in it and could just directly grab the configuration information from the web.
That's amazing. Well, I do want to say thank you so much for everything that you have done. You're absolutely amazing. I appreciate you being here.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity. And so I'll be waiting around to watch Rocky.
I do appreciate it. All right, guys, we are going to take a quick little break, and we'll be back here in a little bit. Fred, again, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. I appreciate everything that you've done. You're an inspiration, and the fact that you are, going out of your way to help people is just amazing. So thank you again so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And again, guys, this is Fred. Make sure that you guys check him out. I will have this on YouTube, and we will get this, or I'll get this over to you as soon as it's up and running. So, Fred, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate everything that you've done. You've been amazing. And for the rest of you guys in the safe zone, we'll see you here in about a half an hour, 45 minutes, give or take a few. All right, guys, thank you so much for being here. Fred, thanks again for being here, and I'll see you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye.